having expectations about how things should go or how people should behave is an amplifier, often not a helpful one, to our experience of life, because, you know, we can try to set out how we think things should be. And if they don't play out that way, it can create a negative and amplified experience of a situation that if we had just gone into it open to whatever is going to happen, we could have a much more neutral experience of that same situation. So,
I'd love to stay here just for a moment.
Sure.
So for anybody listening, the Andrew helped me come up with this idea for myself about how in fact, the way it was a conversation where you said, I'm curious about how you amplify your experience of life. And what I did was I talk about amplification. I read that as you are loud and noisy. I heard that as you are loud and noisy. And I was like, oh my God, like, what do you mean? You know, and you clarified, you basically said, well, what I mean is amplification is when you take an input of a certain size and you make it bigger. Mm-hmm. And that has been such a useful, like, internal tool for me because I do that a lot of the time. And so when you're talking about this sort of amplification, right, that's what you mean is if we can go through life sort of at a zero level or as close to zero as we can get, we're gonna be open to what is actually happening instead of having these expectations about it. Is that
right.
is that a good?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I think, you know, we've talked a lot about the experience on the boat of you know, and as soon as you realize that the forces that contribute to us moving in the boat are outside of our control, one, they're also more often than not, different than what we were forecasted to have. Mm-hmm. So even though we have some of the best information in the world from weather experts all over the planet fed to our boat, most of the time it's wrong. And so if we were, you know, and I observe a lot of people in my life who seem to live by that they think that forecast should be right all the time. Mm-hmm. And when it's not, they go into very frustrated, anxious, negative energy around that. And I think the beauty of being on a sailboat is you quickly come to realize that that's just information, guidance of what might happen. But if you put a lot of weight on it, an expectation on it, you're setting yourself up for a negative result more often than not.